Hello and welcome to the Damp Show with me, DampSam. Today we've got an interview with Mr. Brent Richards. Brent went to school with me and we know each other from St Dominic's and St Michael's. And I'm just going to start off by asking you, Brent, about your family. So where did it all start, and where did the story of Brent start?
Right, well, just up road from where you started, really. I
Yeah.
was born on Warwick Road, up here in Mount Breton, in bedroom. I asked my mum about that. I says, how did they get away with that in them days? Oh, that's how it were done. I mean, now
birth.
there've been monitors and everything. So I was born at 21 Warwick Road, just opposite Bedding Centre. I drive past regular and look at little bedroom and stuff, And in fact, I know a guy that bought a house off us is still in it. He's bailiff down at Fleets.
Is it?
Yeah, and we chat regularly about it. And in fact, still on garage, there's my dad's writing and stuff on walls.
Still?
So, oh, yeah. So that's quite, it can be emotional a bit when I drive past. But anyway, so I was born there, and you lived at top of Newland Drive.
Did I? Yeah.
And I can't remember really playing with you much or
No.
knocking about with you much, but I do remember you living there, you and your sister. Anyway, when I was 12-year-old, my mum and dad bought a shop in Dodworth. My dad were a miner. My mum worked at St Michael's School. Were it after that? She worked at school, my mum.
Yeah.
And they decided they wanted to change her life, and they bought an off licence in Dodworth. People in Dodworth might remember, if they're watching this, remember me from there. I know people in Mount Breton, I know people in Dodworth, and then finally we moved into Barnsley. But I'll tell you about Dodworth. We bought this. They sold Mount Breton. Mum and Dad bought Mount Breton in '65. I was born in '67.
February 67.
February the
'Cause
2nd,
I
'67.
had a look.
Yeah,
And it's same month. I mean,
Oh,
what date are you?
second.
Second.
Yeah.
I'm 23rd. So it just surprised me. For some reason I thought your birthday was before Christmas.
No. There were some lads, weren't there, September and stuff at school. Dave Stretton, I think, were oldest, if you
Yeah.
remember him from school, if
Yeah.
he's watching this. Anyway, so we moved out of Mount Breton when I was 12. They bought it for £2,500 in '65, brand new 3-bed semi. Sold it in '78 for £12,500. And we bought a shop in Dodworth for £36,000 in '78. And even then, I were only 12, but I thought, bloody hell, that's a fortune.
It is,
Mum
a
and
lot.
Dad, and I'm thinking, how are they going to afford that? And, they're going to more. But it was a shop that were taking, I don't know, £500 a week, which were a lot of money then.
But what did he do before your dad then? How come he went to being a shop owner
Well,
from whatever he did?
he was an electrician, my dad.
Right.
Electrician at Pitt.
Yeah.
And he carried on being an electrician at Pitt. And my mum looked after the shop full time. My dad,
Right.
when he were on afters, were going to warehouse on a morning, and then when he came home, he worked days and afters, and I don't think he worked nights with me, just days and afters he worked.
It's hard work, that.
Oh
isn't it?
yeah. Anyway, they did that for about this. It was an off license as well. It opened then at 8:30 in the morning and shut at 10:30 on a night. I think they closed it afternoon for half an hour or something like that. And it was 7 days a week. One of the things quite extravagant during this time, every Sunday it opened at 8:30 in the morning, shut at dinner time, while about 6 o'clock, and then it opened at 6 o'clock again while 10:30. Every Sunday went to Kerrisworth Hall for a Sunday dinner.
Oh, right.
And nobody, now everybody goes out for dinners and
Yeah.
lunch, even young uns. This is why they've got the money.
Yeah.
Because they think they can go out for, we're only going to Nando's tonight and all this, and they're on £300 a week.
I know.
Well, then going out for normal people,
We
before
never went out.
No, we didn't. I
Yeah.
was 21 when I had my first burger when McDonald's opened in Barnsley. So anyway, we went to Kerrisworth Hall every Sunday for his dinner, and I'm only 12, 13-year-old sat there, could have a glass of wine. There were a bloke playing. He was like a local musician playing piano and doing stuff in corner. It was like really posh then.
Yeah.
But that were our treat. That mum and dad's treat every Sunday. Anyway, we did this. They did that for about 4 years, and it just became it was the life. They couldn't go on holiday, So after 4 years, they put it up for sale. Turnover. I remember when they sold it was it had gone up from like 500 quid a week to 1,100 quid a week.
Yeah.
They were doing really well with it. My mum made sandwiches and stuff like that people weren't doing then. Hot sandwiches in the morning. And when you look now, it were like they'd got, foresight.
Yeah.
But they sold it. My dad carried on working at Pitt. My mum then I think she got a job at St Michael's then. She worked at St Michael's School anyway as a secretary there. And I think, I might be wrong with that, she might have left when we got the shop. But you'll remember working at school, maybe my mum, I don't know.
I can't picture it. I can remember the lass in year above us. And her mum worked there, and I can't think. In fact, she's Thingy Pearson.
Jill Pearson.
And she passed away.
She
did. Years ago.
And do you remember Jane Exley?
Jane's mum worked there.
Jane Exley's mum worked with my mum.
Right.
Both of them worked in that little office beside of Mr. Rogerson's office.
I can remember her. Yeah.
So anyway, we then at that point that the shop that had 4 years at it put it up for sale. Somebody wanted to buy it straight away. And my mum and dad were fancying another property, but nothing had been firmed up. So we decided, at that point, my mum's dad developed Alzheimer's. He were in his early 70s. And my mum's mum was struggling to look after him. So my mum and dad sold the shop and decided to move in temporarily with a mum and dad up Race Common Road. So now I moved back into town centre, and I met people from town centre. And so I were about 14 or 15 when we moved back into town centre, opposite Quick Fit Garage, up Race Common Road. And
bottom of St George's Road.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, it was perfect when I started going in town, boozing and stuff. When I was 17.
There's a roll of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pool all above channels. I think I was 16, and we were having a beer in there. And it was just supposed to be a temporary thing. But I don't exactly know my mum and dad's business and why they decided to do it, but we ended up staying there. My dad had a guy called Mick Hall in. He were a builder at the time. Barry Smith and Phil England were plumbers for him. They went on to own half at town centre, pubs in town centre. Do you remember them?
Well, I'm big into coincidences, me, so...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but when I first left school and become an apprentice plasterer...
Yeah.
I ended up working for Cuddiff Builders, but Mick Hall owned.
Yes, and that were it.
And then he turned it into Halls.
Yeah.
So all them that came to your house that were working there, I kind of knew them all. Cause he were one of the first people to do nursing homes in Barnsley.
He were, yeah.
And then he sold them up, left, went to London and bought loads of property there.
Yeah, I think he's in Jersey now.
I know he made a lot of money.
Yeah, he's in Jersey. So Mick Hall... what building contractor my mum and dad chose, and Phil and Barry were two plumbers with the plumbers bags and stuff, I can remember Phil, I can't remember Barry so much. Anyway, they demolished it, knocked all insides out, built dormers on, and we ended up staying there. My mum and dad may have, I think they sold the shop for 112,000 or something. Business had improved, the whole. My dad had. Alongside the shop were a little terrace house joined on that were just like, when we moved in, derelict and stunk of pee, and I were all sitting out there playing about. My dad renovated that and got tenants in that. So all lot were worth a bit more. But anyway, so maybe Race Common Road, they did it all up, made it really big and nice. We stayed there and maybe ended up with a bit of money in bank. I don't know all the business. But so we ended up there. Then from there, I started going in Barnsley, drinking like you do. It was perfect for it. I mean, on more than one occasion. I've never been a fighter, you know that. And I remember more than once walking along past Leo's at 2:30 in the morning, sometimes on my own, and gangs of lads coming, walking down bloody Peel Street. And I've known me getting to doorway at Leo's, literally in one corner while they've walked past and just staggered out and gone up, I've gone in town drinking all my life and been sociable, know lots of people, and I've never ever been in trouble, braid, or
Do you know
in trouble? My dad always said, if you see it, walk away from it,
and that's
don't walk towards it.
Yeah,
and maybe
if they've got a knee for run
or anything. Yeah. Maybe it's testosterone or whatever, and I don't think I've got a lack of it. I never have, but I was always used to be sensible enough to and move at it. Well, I've stood on sidelines and watched it. Now, I've said that to both my sons. If there's trouble, move away.
But when I was thinking of questions, like I was driving home yesterday, and it just come to me, and I thought, ask Brent, has he ever had a fight? Ever? Because I can't remember you at school or out like that. He's never thrown a punch at.
I've never thrown a punch.
Not even people you've sacked.
No.
Come for you.
No. I've never. My fists have never hit anybody. You know, and when you were younger, but I was never like called. You know, at school.
You weren't. No.
At school, I was never called I was never bullied.
No.
Or called a puff, or like we used to, or anything like that. But I've never had to. I'm not. Even now, if I see violence, it turns my stomach.
Yeah,
you know, and
it's not nice.
But yeah, now at our age, that's same for everybody.
Yeah.
But when you're younger, you know, some people it don't. But as they get older, it does. Fortunately, I've had that all my life.
So did you go straight to St Dominic's then?
Yes, because I was born in Monkbretton. Obviously, I was Catholic.
Yeah.
St Dominic's, and then on to St Michael's.
Yeah.
And we're jumping back a bit here.
Are we?
Or are we going to talk about... We can talk about career
I thought ideal
in terms of school.
Yeah, we'll
next.
We'll go from school.
Yeah,
and then we'll go into your career.
So, then, obviously going into town, met my current wife when I was 17 in Cornerpin. I'd seen her at Barnsley College. I were at Barnsley College. Got an apprenticeship at Redfern's. We'll talk about that later. Welder, fabricator. And went to Barnsley College, and I was just stood at a coffee machine, and I got myself a coffee, and saw these two lasses good at coffee machine. I thought, oh, she's nice there. And my mate were on the same course of her. She were on a business studies course, and I was just I were an engineer. We're downstairs in workshops and that. And I thought, she's nice, really lovely. I thought she'd got a lovely posture, and her hair were like 80s, you know, pinned up like it was. And anyway, I says to my mate who were on business course, I says, oh, I saw this lass, she's on your course. He says, oh yeah, it's Leslie Paget, that I know her. I says, well, put me a word in. I think it were like this, in case she watches it and says it were not like that. This is I'm sure it were like this. Anyway, I went in town following Friday, and I saw her, and I think she were at Jukebox putting her in Cornerpin with this lass. And this lass knew that I liked her. And this Leslie's told me, she says to me, oh, that's Brent Richards there, and he fancies you. She says, and I looked at him and thought, oh, I don't think much of him or whatever. Anyway, they come over to me. And even though I ain't got lots of money, I bought them both a drink. And she says, I thought that were all right. Bought us a drink, got chatting. And we actually walked back to Racecommon Road that night, me and her. I mean, I'm going to tell you something here. And I got a Mini. I don't know how long I've been in town. I don't know whether we're trying to be big or what, but we walked back to Racecommon Road. It was December. And I got this big sheepskin coat that everybody had then, and I gave it sheepskin coat, and I told my mum I was setting off walking, and I got it Mini and took her home. I know, I was 17. I'd only passed my test not long before. Don't know how long I can't remember how much I'd had to drink, but looking back, stupid, but I was trying, you know, I took her home in Mini, dropped her off, and anyway, I says, oh, we'll have to go out again. And her dad, he's quite proper and strict on timekeeping. Anyway, I says, I'll pick you up, I'll come out. You know, having a car were like impressive, weren't it? I'm thinking at that stage.
Yeah.
And anyway, picked her up a couple of nights later, and I were about 10 minutes late. Like I've been today, really.
I didn't want to stay home.
So, and she says, her dad says to me, oh, get rid of him. Can't even get here on time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm still with her. We got married when we were 23, and we're still married now. So,
and two kids.
Yeah, two kids, 28 and 23. Two lads.
Spitting image of you as well.
We've just been on holiday with them all together. Two lads and the girlfriends. Me and Leslie, obviously, in a villa in Spain that a lad I know owns. And he says to me, they don't let it out, but he says, I know you, you can go. one of the best holidays,
Good.
with your
Family
family.
together, yeah. Yeah.
Another thing you appreciate as you get older.
Well, they say when your kids, when you're younger, they say 90% of your time with your kids is when they're at school. Once they leave, that's it. You don't see them.
Yeah, and then as you get older, I think if we had babies now, this is why you enjoy grandkids. If we had babies now, we'd be much more interested and spend more time than we did when,
Yeah, you can
it's a
see
maturity thing.
Yeah, you can see it with granddads and stuff.
Yeah, but I think if you were a granddad's age when you first had them, you'd be just same. It's a maturity thing.
Yeah.
As you get older, you appreciate your kids and your family more.
I think you've got more patience, haven't you?
Yeah.
More time, more patience, and
Yeah.
a bit more money. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not stressed.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So where were we? Town,
So
wife.
you've just drunk drived and swerving all over the road, and you just managed to get it back. And when you woke up in the
Yeah.
morning, all doors were up, and lights were flashing.
Yeah. So I didn't get pulled up, and I've never been in trouble with police, and I didn't get in trouble with police. So
That's brilliant.
it were all good. So
Hiya, it's DampSam here. I've just come on just to tell you that DampSam.com is now up and running. We've got the Express damp proofing system course designed by me, run by me, done by me. You can buy that. We've got the ultimate guide to black mold and condensation. You can pay what you want for it. And we've also got 3 free ebooks. And also we've got a guide to basement conversions, the ultimate guide to damp proofing, and also the podcasting series. You can get in contact with them and the YouTube membership. Enjoy the rest of your film. So let's go back to St Dom's, because I came there in 4th years.
yes, I remember you coming.
So I came there in 4th years, and school that I'd been to before, and I never had a cricket team, but St Dom's had a cricket team. I couldn't believe that when we were doing games and stuff, they were bowling on tarmac with them corkies.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called. Games teacher.
I was scared to death at Corky. Tennis ball, I'd be brilliant, but it's Corky, I didn't want to know.
I know.
Go on.
And they used to bowl it at you in that night. So, did you ever play in cricket team?
No, I didn't play in cricket team or football team. But if you listen to me now, I'm an expert on it all.
No, but at St Michael's, all I can remember is every morning break,
Yeah,
there were you, Pilkey,
yeah.
Deakin, Deakin. You all used to play football,
Right.
courts down,
Oh, yeah.
every day.
Well, I'll tell you, as a young lad, I weren't interested in football. Cricket, I was scared to death at Corky. It come to me, I'd like... My dad used to say, just put your hands there, but no, I didn't fancy that. And went to senior school, and I was getting interested in football. Late 70s, Barnsley got Alan Clark as manager, and I used to go to all games. Started getting an interest, and then when we went to senior school, lads I associated with, Sean Clay were a brilliant footballer, Anton Lazinski were a good footballer, Kozik here and Cosgrave, he weren't bad. They were in, and we used to play, and gradually, we played with a tennis ball as well. You had to get good. You weren't controlling the football. And I got better and better and more confident. I actually got in school team when I was in last year at bloody St. Mick's.
I can remember that.
And I was so, proud. But then we'd got hairy legs and, you know what I mean, I'd grown up a bit. And I remember we played Charter. Adam...
They had a great team.
They had a great side, yeah.
They won, were it English Cup?
They were brilliant.
I think they won English Cup.
Good players.
Johnny Gray.
John Gray,
yeah.
Adam, what was his name now? One of them's married to Debbie Totti now, and I've bloody forgotten his name. He were a great... He went on to play for Exeter City. Yeah, he were good.
I'm trying to think of his name.
But up until playing them, it were okay,
John,
you went in for...
John, they call him, his first name. I'll remember it. Go on.
Yeah, he were Dave Roos's best mate.
Yeah.
Anyway, up until then, I thought it were okay. I were a right back, I could go out wing a bit, put a cross in and tackle. I remember playing them, and this ball, I was stood on goal line nearly, facing my own goal for some reason. I don't know if it was a corner or whatever. And I thought, I've got this. I put my foot on the ball, and 3 of them just smashed into me. and ball were in net, and yeah, it were a goal. They were just proper physical. They were like men.
Yeah.
Great big legs on them and everything like that. But so that I got in team when I was 15, and so I must have been A4, you know. At it. And I love football, and I played a bit of five-a-side after I left school, and then I haven't played for ages, not done anything with work. I played in brass bands as well. Did you know that?
I did.
Tell you about that in a bit.
I did.
So as a lad, I played in bands, and so I couldn't do everything. But about, I don't know, I'd be probably 30. Somebody says to me, "Do you want to play in our five-a-side team at Metrodome?" I think it was Door Solutions or something, or a South African lad, Donovan Watkins they call him. He said, "I've got a team together." Anyway, there were Keith White played. He's a retired builder now from Darton. He must have been, if I were 30, I mean he's 70 odd now. He must have been late 40s or whatever. And at that time I thought he was like old. And I went on and our absolute ball were just bouncing.
But it's
off
Sunday
me.
leagues.
No, it was just a charity game at Metrodome,
right.
and I was bloody hell. Leslie went to watch me. She was just laughing, and that was the last time I've played. I couldn't control the ball, like I was knackered after 5 minutes, so I ain't played since. But I still got a keen interest in football, and I comment really when I shouldn't. You know, don't like Manchester United. Do you know that?
I do, yeah. I've noticed that. Although I'm more of a obviously. How did you get to follow Liverpool? Were your dad a Liverpool fan?
No.
So how did you end up picking Liverpool?
Oh, I were a Barnsley fan.
Oh yeah, well we all are.
Yeah.
We all had a second team, didn't we?
My dad took me to watch Barnsley in '73, first time. Barry Murphy were playing and people like that, and we sat in West Stand up a tier near away fans. Bradford came, Cess Pod were playing for them and abuse they got were unbelievable. I can't do it on here what they used to do, but it were unbelievable. When I think back, an whole crowd doing it.
I know.
Anyway, I remember going up there and having bovril polystyrene coat, but end of game it was just all bit right. You
used to bite it, didn't you? For some reason.
Yeah. So, and at that time, Liverpool were awesome, weren't they? And it's what young lads do.
Yeah.
You know, they gravitate to. My first team were Barnsley, but Liverpool were good, so you like to watch them because they were winning. Pretty much like lads at 90s. I know lads in the 30s, 40s now who love Man U, and it's only because they were awesome when they were growing up, innit?
I think I was different to you because
you and Chris Hamnett like Man U.
Yeah, I think it was because my dad liked them.
Yeah.
So we used to, if they were on cup final, you'd get some toffees and stuff, and you'd sit and watch them, and then obviously Amy liked them. So I think I ended up being a Man U fan because of that.
Well, Chris Hamnett. I mean, I'd spent a bit of time with Chris when we were younger. Because he lived at Dodderth, Dodderth Road, didn't he? And then he ended up moving to Dodderth, and his mum, he'd got an association with Gilroyd and stuff.
Yeah, his dad lived there, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if he watches this, at that time we'd probably be about 13, and a porno magazine then were bloody Grattan Catalogue, and he'll tell you this story. Went to his house up Dodderth Road. His mum and dad weren't in. He says, "Are we to get Grattan out?" and we were looking at women with suspenders on and all that lot. And looking back, I mean, now you can look at whatever you want on your phone, can't you? But then Grattan Catalogue were it. And if he watches this, he'll remember.
He'll laugh.
His mum, I think she was an agent or something. There were loads of them.
Yeah, I think she did.
Well, we were looking at them and what you do and stuff like that. But yeah, so. That what after where were we now? I keep losing thread.
We're at St Dom's, and you were on about like different things that you were doing through with football and sport and that.
Yeah.
But then obviously you mentioned that
brass band.
You were in started playing an instrument.
Yes, and I don't. You weren't in. It was junior tool this.
Yeah.
So what was that? 4, 5, 6. I'd be about 7 year old.
Yeah.
And maybe 8. And Mrs. Lyons were. English teacher, I'll never forget it. We sat in classroom, and Mr. Feely, headmaster, knocked on the door, walked in. I can remember it dead plain as if it were yesterday. And he got 2 cases in his hand, and this is how it happened. And nobody knew what were in them, and he held them up in the air. He says, "Who wants to have a go at this?" And everybody, me, hand goes up. You know what I mean? And I must have been first. Says, "Right, Brent, you can have a go." I was into what it was. Anthony McDade. Well, other lad put his hand up and opened up the cornets. And this Brian Towers, was music teacher, he came in once a week and we had a lesson with him. And I must have had a natural aptitude. Well, it told me I did, and looking back, I did.
Yeah.
Everybody's good at something,
Yeah.
and it's just finding where it is. And I had a lesson, and I picked it up fairly quickly. Mum and Dad, I practiced on a night. I couldn't go out. I couldn't go out and play while I'd had my 15 minutes cornet practice.
Right.
Cornet practice, and they insisted upon it. Like they insisted upon me brushing my teeth every night before I went to bed.
Had he said it's got to be 15 minutes? Because nowadays they'll say like with Spanish and everything, it's you do 20 minutes or 10 minutes a day.
No,
every day.
Yeah, music teacher
habits.
suggested 10 or 15 minutes a day practice. Right. And as a kid, like some nights I wanted to go out. My mate Gary Moss was knocking on. You know him, Mossy from Brent. Moss is knocking. He was my best mate when I lived on Warwick Road.
Right.
I come in out. I've got to do my cornet practice. You know. Some nights I enjoyed it, and 15 minutes went. I'd done half an hour. Other nights, like I'm looking at clock. I've done it, Dad. Anyway. So, but I picked it up. Anthony McDade packed it in after about 3 months. I kept it going. I mean, when we got to senior school, I remember standing on stage and playing with carol concerts and stuff like that. Kept it going. Joined a band when I were about 9 or 10.
A brass band.
Brass band, yeah. And worked my way up till I played with Dodeth Band. It became nearly a full-time. It's like football. The better you get, the better bands come for you, poach you. You know, coming to knocking on the door, come and play with us, and you feel loyalty. There was no money in it, but you know, I played with Music Centre Band, and we had a good band of young players. Started as just novices and ended up like in second division.
Yeah,
one below Premier League, and big bands were coming in for lads, you know, and there were lads from only raggy lads from Kendry and stuff. No disrespect,
was
but
it like a league then?
Yes.
So
brass banding, there's.
Did you get points for like playing?
Yes, for winning. You entered certain competitions throughout the year, depending on where you finished.
Right.
If you won area championships, you went straight up without having done, you know. Anyway, like I say, everybody's good at something. There were raggy lads from Kendry, but brilliant trombone player and.
Do you think that were like a pit thing? Because obviously pits had their own bands.
It was massive round here.
Right.
I got a bit of stick at school in my younger days for that. You know, you puff. You know what I mean? That was the only thing I did get stick for. And sometimes I was close to thinking, I'd rather be kicking a can on the street or whatever. But then when I got to 17, 18. People were saying, I wish I could play a musical instrument. Maturity thing again, innit? You know? So, and as I say, it was taking more and more of my life. I left me. Some lads went to Barra Colliery Band. They had a good band, you know, in early 80s.
Yeah.
Dodeth were the big band, were a good band. And anyway, I lived in Dodeth, and I was still playing in late 70s, early 80s. I was going to Music Centre. And somebody actually come in shop and heard me practising upstairs. Max Senior, they call him. Max Senior, still associated with Dodeth Band. And he says to me, Mum, who's that? I says, it's my son. Oh, does he want to come and play with Dodeth? Anyway, somebody at Dodeth knew who I was and did it. And I eventually joined Dodeth. And I remember my music teacher at Barnsley Music Centre Band. He was a conductor and he was by then my music teacher. And it was so hard telling him, and he actually, I mean, I was only a lad, but he actually never spoke to me again.
They fell out with you?
Yeah. You go in. I was like top man at bloody Music Centre then. You'll be a little fish in a big pond, but it's the only way to get better, isn't it? You know what I mean? I ended up being top man at Dodeth, and then it just got too much. I was trying to work and all that, because the better you get, the more practice you got to go to. You know, before contest, you go in every night.
Yeah.
In a build up to a contest. At Christmas, you're playing. There weren't any money in it, so you go into pubs and restaurants playing everybody. Who can do that? Well, to put money in bands' coffers. So it became too much, because I was moving on to working and stuff like that.
Hiya, DampSam here. Did you know? If you want to watch a full, unedited version of this, if you become a Damp fan, $2.99, which is as much as an expensive cup of coffee up here, you can watch a full, unedited version of this. Nah, let's get back watching this bit, eh? See you in a bit. So one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you is me and you, a few years ago, we were on, I think it were at Rotherham, and it was a Barnsley, I think it was Mick McCarthy or whatever, one of these things.
Sporting dinner, yeah.
But I'd asked you how you ended up at Premier Engineering from going as a welder, player to welder, which is still your job title, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I had a look on your director's thing, and it says job welder plater. So will that be in your passport as well?
Probably.
Or is it director?
Probably.
And I just thought it was such an interesting story from how you got from there to what you're doing. So just talk us through that. So you get your job at Redfern.
Well, I'll start before that if you want.
Go on then.
So at school, I were all right at school. I could.
What class were you in?
Studied.
Were you
A
B?
class. No, we're in top class. Yeah. There were only about. I think there were only about 7 lads in top class. There were me, Sean Clay, Anthony Lazinski, Kieran Cosgrave, Matt Pilkington. Apologies if there weren't many of us in class. It were mainly girls, and English were my forte. I was never much good at maths for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, I can add up and take away now in my head, but all that bloody algebra and stuff like that, transposing formula, and I could never get into it, and I weren't interested in it. As soon as I just wanted to go to sleep.
Glazed over.
Yeah. You've had that, haven't you, when you're not interested in something?
Mr.
English, I could write for England, and now I'm so critical with grammar. And Mrs. Lyons, I think, Mick Lyons.
Yeah.
I've said this to Mick. I credit that to Mrs. Lyons.
Piano teacher, wasn't she?
And she were English. Her forte were English and handwriting, and she got me into it, spelling and grammar and stuff. And so English, I did. I got good grades in English. Biology, I got good grade in that, like that. Stuff like that. Maths I weren't bothered about. Anyway, so I wanted to be a journalist. And I got 2 Bs at O level in English language and literature, which then were good.
But tell me back, because I've asked this before.
Yeah.
When you went for your careers interview with Mr. Simpson, what did he say to you, and what did you say to him?
Right. We sat down, and he said, right, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to go to 6th form. I want to be a journalist. And my mum were like, that. I'd talked about that with my mum, maybe my dad as well, and that was my plan, because I could write, and that was my forte anyway. So I enrolled at 6th form. Careers interview. I told them I wanted to do that, and what will be your second choice? Because you had to give him a second choice. I don't know whether you remember that.
Yeah.
And I said, I ain't really got one. We need your second choice. I said, a welder. I says, well, why is that? I said, well, my dad was once repairing a car, and I did some gas welding, and I could do it, and I enjoyed it. It were good. And it was just like a throwaway, really. Right, okay, that's your second choice. So I enrolled at 6th form. I went on the day that you have up there, loved it, confident I was going to get my grades. And it was 6 weeks holiday, finished at school, and I was fishing every day during that 6 weeks. We lived up Race Common Road then.
Yeah.
Anyway, I came home from fishing this particular day. My dad says, we've had a phone call from careers. There's some jobs going at Redfern's, fabricator, welder, apprentice. Apparently they've had interviews. They've had lads there. It were going to last, it were like end of August when it all starts in September. They've had lads there, but the lads who have, this is how they explain it to my dad, not done well at school.
Right.
And they need somebody with a bit of intelligence to be able, and to be a tradesman, you've got to have a level of intelligence. It's no use, all right, I'm not. You need a level of particularly fabricated. Well, it's like a joiner. You've got to read drawings. You've got to understand setting out, marking out, whatever. So anyway, I went for this interview. Disappointed because I couldn't go fishing. Just went for interview to Redfern's, and I went in this office and sat down. And looking back, I was 16-year-old and never shut up. Nothing. My dad says to me before you go, make sure you know this about making glass. They mix lime and soda together and sand, and they heat it up, and that's how they make glass. And all this. Like.
That's a good tip.
My dad give me like a bit of a, if they ask you about glass, you've always been interested in glass.
How did you,
and all this. So,
how did you feel? How did you feel going up to building? Because it's a vast building.
oh,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
And
Yeah, I remember.
it's a massive place and that.
Yeah.
And for a young kid to going in there.
Yeah, I went in, I walked in, Trevor Dyson, Lenny Kenyon, and Mr. Barraclough, I'm forgetting his first. Barraclough were the HR man to do with all apprentices. Redfern's brilliant company, got lots of apprentices at that time. And Lenny Kenyon, electrical manager, Trevor Dyson, mechanical manager. And I sat in this office with them, and I can imagine what a lot of young 16-year-olds are like now. I bet you have to extract it from them. Well,
Yeah.
that's right. I remember, what do you do? Play in a band. And I started telling him all about band. And what else? Oh, I go fishing. I said, in fact, I come down, there were a maggot farm at back of Redfern's. And he says, oh, Trevor Dyson
It
says,
were back of our house.
oh, there were one down there,
Oh, the one
at Burton
there
Road,
as
but
well.
there were also one up Fishy Dam Lane.
Could smell it, couldn't we? Somewhere.
Oh, yeah. And Trevor Dyson says to me, oh, it's thee that's making all stink. And just like something like that, I says, I love me fishing and all this. And we chatting, honestly, it was just a chat like me and you was chatting now. And I bet they thought, well, this young lad can at least converse, you know. And so looking back now, probably that's why I got a job. They asked me, well, what do you know about welding and stuff then? Well, I've done a bit on my dad's car and I enjoyed it. Well, have you done metal work at school? I says, no, we didn't do metal work. But I'm sure, I'd be interested in all this, and probably said right things. And finally, they asked me about glass process. And they did ask me.
Yeah.
And how do you think we make glass here then? And my dad I said, well, you mix sand and lime and soda and things like that together, and you melt it in a furnace.
I bet you were only kid that get through that knew that.
Well, yeah, so I
Got to
said
be.
that. Next day I went fishing. Never forget it. Comes in, my dad says, oh, you've got that job at Redfern's if you want it. I said, oh, right. And I think my mum would have wanted me to go on to sixth form. And my mum and dad said, it's totally up to you.
Yeah.
Well, it was £53 a week in 1983, which is like £250 a week now. Money won't.
Yeah.
Like my mates who had gone
Well,
to Pitt.
I were on 25 quid on a scheme.
My mates had gone to Pitt on 25 quid a week. I were on £53 a week. And I took job. So it was by accident, really. I weren't like mega focused on getting into engineering. It were accident.
Yeah.
And but the first year, I went for this interview. I went and they said, right, we want to get a position and da-da-da. What do you think your grades are going to be at school? I says, well, I'll have got good grades in history, geography, biology, English. I said, I'm not sure about maths. I knew I'd failed maths. Right, but they set me on and give me a job. And I got my exam results like later on, and I had to send them to them. I don't know how I got my maths. I got a bloody U in maths.
Really?
Yeah, not even a D. I got a U, but they didn't. Fortunately, they didn't. This Mr. Barraclough had me, and he said, "What went wrong with maths?" I said, "Oh, I didn't particularly like it, and this and that." But I still, I enrolled at college, and
Did you say at college did they not put
yes,
you through to college, don't they?
No, I ended up on a. No, I think I were on a different. I don't know how it worked actually. I still did the same apprenticeship, and I were at workshop.
Yeah, but I think if your grades were lower, I think you maybe had to do an extra maths.
I think I did. Yeah, something like that. But we did pattern development. No, anyway, the first year were full time at Barnsley College.
For all year?
Full time, clocking on a morning.
Ah.
We got there for Dave Roos. Do you know Dave Roos?
Yeah, yeah.
Dave Roos were an apprentice at Needham Brothers and Brown in town that made pit wheels.
Was he a plumber?
Fitter.
Fitter.
There were Dave Roos that you'd probably know. Dave was brilliant at college. He's a very bright lad, Dave. A lot of respect for him, a lot of time for him. Dave was one of them. They gave you a...
Because you were in main building in bottom.
Yeah, in basement. Yeah. You were in it. It was a workshop.
You had bays, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, the first 6 months we were in basic training, it were called, where we're in a workshop and there were lathes, milling machines, workbenches. The first job they gave us, piece of metal that we got to file into a square block. And believe it or not, I could show you how to file properly.
Yeah.
Not rocking it keeping it dead flat. Stood, Mr. White. He went up to the bench. He says, "This is how you stand when you file. Left foot there, right foot here. Hold the file flat. Not, and you get a dead flat. So there's more to even filing than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Hacksawing. I can look at somebody now who's using an hacksaw and think, you don't know what you're doing. Use alt blade. This things like this they're showing us at college. But to start with, because some of us have never even held a tool. So the first 6 months, and they were doing milling, turning, using a drill. They give you little things to make that gradually got more and more complicated, like a stepped shaft on lathe. Dave Roos, some lads were like really quick, but it were all wrong and dimensionally out and all that lot. And Dave, first to finish, and everything was cock on.
Yeah, bang on.
Unbelievable, how good, and I'll tell you another story about Dave as well. We got good friends at college, but we'll go on to that next. I was sort of middle of the road. I were bang on, but it didn't. I couldn't do it. I weren't as quick as Dave. There were some lads who it were wrong and slow. You know what I mean? But anyway, while we were at college, this made papers. I were actually still learning to drive. I passed my test in September, back end of September, and it were coming up. We went to Blackpool. We'd only been at college a few weeks. And we decided to go to Blackpool for the day. My mate, Kieran Cosgrave, I think, had passed his test. Were it Kieran? And he sat at side him, and I drove in Mini, and there were Dave Roos come with us, and another lad, I've forgotten his name now. We goes to Blackpool, good practice for me, because I got my test coming up week after. Drove to Blackpool, we'd all got Feeler tracksuits on and that, can you remember?
Dresser.
Yeah, we were all like that. Even me. And we're walking up front. I borrowed tracksuit off Dave Roos. Dave Roos had got them all. Feeler, everything.
Everything.
And it was his tracksuit that I had on. And because I never really got into I wanted to, we were all looked same. And we walked up front. And none of us were causing any trouble or out like that. And we comes back to Mini, I don't know, it might have been 5 o'clock-ish. And we got a bite to eat, and I were out back at Mini, and Dave were out front, and I looks up car park, and there's a big gang of lads coming up car park. Apparently, Black Bull game had just ended.
Oh, right.
We weren't there for football. We didn't. Maybe not even aware they'd play. I don't know. Big gang of lads come up, and we were all track-suited up and all that, and they all come homed in on us. And I says, "Get in car. There might be some bother here." I just sensed it, and I jumps in passenger seat, and it was an old K-Reg Mini. Turned ignition, it wouldn't start. It wouldn't start. I couldn't believe it. And I'm pulling choke out. By which time they're all round car. And I says to Dave, "Run." I shouts, "Run, Dave." Me and one of the lads were in car. I don't know why they ain't got in or whatever, but anyway, we sat in car and you couldn't see for bodies. I just saw Dave on bonnet, and then I saw them all just scatter, and one of them had stabbed Dave.
Oh, I've not heard that before.
Oh, yeah. One of them, Stanley knife.
Ah.
But they all just scattered, and Dave was just left, stood on his own, blood spurting out in his arm.
Ah.
And they all just like shot off. I jumped out, chuffing hell. And I got him back at Mini, and honestly, it had got plastic seats. There was blood all over. And he's holding it like, and I drove. It started then, bloody car started, and managed to get him round onto the front. We were in one of them car parks at back, and there were a police car parked up, unbelievably. As I come round onto the front, there were a cop car parked up. I says, "My friend's just been stabbed." "Right, wait here, we'll take him up to hospital, and another police car will come." And a police car come, and I followed him to the police station and just told them what had happened. And they got this big book out with photos in. They must have been renowned football. I said,
"Lads,
do you recognise any of these?" Looking through on. I says, "Yeah, I recognise him. He was one of them." And it was. I can't remember what exactly happened after, but whether they got done for it or whatever, but one of them I pointed out and says, "Right, thank you." We didn't go to court or anything.
Did he have to?
42 stitches he had in it.
Well, it was bad,
But he had it stitched inside and outside.
Flipping hell.
So, he's on his arm there.
Well, that's what it was like in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Slashings
It made
and
Barnsley
stuff.
Star.
Yeah.
There were a little story on front.
Yeah, I've never
Seddy.
heard of that. Yeah,
Mark-
Seddy, Mark.
Mark Seddon were with us. There were me,
Right.
Mark Seddon. I ain't seen Seddy for ages. He's from Up Breton, isn't he?
I don't think he lives around here.
No.
His brother passed away, didn't he?
He were a
few
lovely
years
man,
ago.
Mark Seddon.
Yeah.
Soft as
Nice
a brush. Dead right.
Used to go to scouts with him.
Yeah. Well, he were with us. But he were a lad, wasn't he? Seddy.
Yeah.
He had trackies on and
Yeah.
poncho, whatever.
Old gear.
Yeah. So that were that with Dave. But yeah, Dave were really good at college. And 6 months you did turning and machining. Then you went into your specialised areas for 6 months. But on the morning you had to clock on. And you got to be on time.
Actually, in college, you clocked on.
Clocked on.
Right.
In the entrance to the workshop were a rack with cards in.
Yeah.
And you got paid for whatever it said on your card. And if you were late, you were quartered. Just that card went back to Redfern's every week. And so it was like they were introducing you into this is real world.
Were you in same? Were you in same workshop group as Billy then? Because Billy.
No, he was a year above me.
I know,
he
but were he? Were you doing same line of work?
Yeah. Billy were a fitter.
All right.
He
fitter.
were I ain't seen him for ages either.
He's working for I think he's like one of the top guys at a company.
Is he?
He's living in Wakey with Catherine Smith.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Blooming heck. Yeah.
Small world.
So I saw him at Redfern's, obviously, last time I seen him, but he were a year above me, obviously, but he were an apprentice fitter, mechanical. I were a fabricator, welder. So after your 6 months basic, you then went into your specialised areas. So you clocked on and I went to welding department. Lads who were electricians went to electrician department, which were across the road. And you then specialise in what you were doing, more welding, more, reading fabrication drawings and stuff. And then you went back to Redfern's after 12 months, and I nearly packed in when I went back to Redfern's. I'll tell you this story. It were great at college. It was still a bit of a laugh and a school environment. You were getting paid for it. Started back at Redfern's, and they put me with this little guy who were ready for retiring. The plan was I were going to replace him. Called him Eric Epworth, and anybody who was watching this might remember him. He was a small guy, he had a stick, and he was very, very old-fashioned. And not much patience. If I have any young lads come, I've all time in the world and patience for them because I had a bad experience. And he swore at me, abused, and my mum and dad had never swore at me.
Yeah.
And he used to shout at me and swear at me, and I ended up in tears more than once because I weren't used to it. And one particular, but I was a good worker. I graft my balls off for anybody who asked me to do out. I graft my balls off, I still would now. And I used to end up black, sweating cobs, and apprentice fitters were like just leant on benches. They'd go out and repair a pump, or, and I were like burning stuff, making stuff, putting it together, welding it. Were difficult looking back.
Yeah.
And if I'd done out wrong, he used to bloody
Went on your back.
swear at me. They're useless, you useless toss. Stronger words than that, I can't use them on here. And this particular day, I'd made this platform, and put open deck flooring on it. And open deck flooring, it's like flats on edge, tied together with round bars. So one way it's weak. You've got to put the load bearing flats a particular way. And I'd made this platform lovely and done all flooring wrong. When you stood on it, it bent because load bearing flats weren't supported right. And he come out, and I were right proud of this job that I'd done. I said, "Is that all right?" And he come out, he says, "You wanker." I'm like, "What?" He says, "You've done flooring on you useless twat and all this." And that's why I brought that. I went to go in welding cupboard. We had a cupboard that were heated for welding rods, and I were crying.
Yeah.
And there were another bloke there called Ken Kitchen. He come and put his arm round me. He were not a young man then. He were in his mid-50s. He died recently. I've kept in touch with him all the time because I credit him with a lot of work, how I carried on with it. He says, "Ignore him." I said, "I'll have a word with you, Dyson, and see if he can put you with me. you know. So
So were there no HR at that
no,
time?
no,
It was just
no,
like
no. He said
you were in.
no. He says I'll have a word with Dyson, or engineering manager. I'll see if I can get there with me. So I went home and told my mum and dad, and my dad were going to go down see him. I says no, and I remember coming home this particular day having my tea, and they must have said something, and I must have been filling up. What's up? They might ask me if I'm enjoying it or whatever. And I told them the story. My dad were going to go down and see.
So you'll have had that knot in your stomach when you were going to work as well,
Yeah.
you? Thinking you were going to work with him and then have to
Nervous.
see him.
It shouldn't be like that. I even have it now with people who ring up. These people who shout and bawl. I'll say, whoa, we're not school. It's not in my world shouting and bawling at work. It's supposed to be an environment. None of us. We're all doing it because we want to earn a living. None of us really would rather be doing something else, wouldn't we? You know. Yeah. So people who shout and bawl. I mean, there's one or two customers that I've lost because they spoke to my people. I've got a draftsman. His job is a draftsman. One particular company were on phone to him all the time. I need this bit more information and this draftsman coming in to me and said he's been shouting to me on phone. He says I can't. So I says right, sit down. I got a loudspeaker on my phone. I rung this contracts manager at this company, and I said, what's your problem? Well, he starts shouting it. I says, stop right there. I don't have shouting and bawling at people. People don't respond to that. He said, oh, it's like that, is it? We'll take our job somewhere else. I says, please do. So we don't need people like you shouting and bawling. And
you don't need customers like that, do you?
You don't need anybody like that at work. No need, you know. Anyway, so maybe that's the experience I had with him, you know, because Ken took me under his wing, and I remember at 19, all of a sudden it clicked. My job clicked, my confidence clicked, and me and Ken got on great. I remember he went on holiday for a week or something like that, and he left me a job to do making these plastic roll stands for palletizers. They used to pull plastic off. It was a simple job, box section upright at either end and tubes across, and they had to lift them off. I made about 6 in a week, you know, welding, fabricated, doing all that, painted them, and they were all stood lined up when he come back. I'd also done a few other jobs, and I come back, I said, what do you think today? I said, wow, have you done all them 6? I said, and I've repaired that batch pipe, and I've done that. We used to have job cards, you see.
Yeah.
And that were all through just encouragement and not being a bully.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise, if Ken hadn't been there, I might have packed in.
Yeah.
And done something else. God, maybe not sat, you know,
people
respond my company now.
People respond to different ways of learning and stuff, don't they? So yours would have been hand out shoulder.
Yeah. So I'll just tell you, I'll carry on with how then. I was then off. I did another year's study at college through Redfern's. They let me do another year and get better qualifications in welding and fabrication. And I used to, whether you call it a yes man or whatever, if anybody asked me to do it, I'll do it. You know, we need somebody to stop tonight to do this. I'll do it. And you always get them who are like them who took Mickey out when I play at cornet.
Yeah,
fucking yes man and all that. Sometimes it gets you, it helps you along the way, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But when I worked for them, you know, there were rebuilds where I've stopped all night and, you know, done all sorts of stuff for them. Last minute jobs where people make excuses. Oh, I can't, I've got this. I'd stop, I'd be on my own mending something, you know, at midnight or whatever for them. And I'd be about 23-year-old. Well, I was 23-year-old, 1989. There were Nakanko opened up at Wakefield, National American Can Company, and they built Coca-Cola outside. And I were on 12 grand a year in 89. Nakanko opened up and we're offering positions at 19 grand a year.
For the same job what you're doing?
No, this is part of the story. Called Maintenance Operatives. And 2 other lads from Redfern's went. 7 grand a year wage rise, then were a lot of money. 2 other lads went. Steve Ellum, he were a fitter, he went to Nakanko. Can't remember the name of other lads. And the job, they said to me when I went for interview, that's the only other interview I've had besides my first one, and he were an American guy that interviewed me, and we spoke about what I'd done, what I did, and my commitment levels, and he says, if you come here, you turn into a tin can, you know, you live and breathe it. I said, that's no problem, I do it at my glass bottle company, you know, anything wants to do it, I'm a company man, you know. Right, anyway, I got a job, and it were basically pressing buttons. It were on a brand new plant, pressing buttons on a machine that palletised Coca-Cola cans. Then they went next door to be filled with Coca-Cola, all brand new. And it were 12 hour, 4 on 4 off, 12 hour.
Is that what they call a CNC lathe, is it?
No.
Is it different to that?
No, it weren't a lathe. No, it's just a machine, just a production facility. Like they have production at Redfern's, you know, at the end where the product is packed and...
So you're not actually actually making out,
not
right?
making anything.
Right.
No, I was just operating a machine.
Right.
However, they said it's a maintenance operative where you'll have your toolkit, and if anything goes wrong on the line, or you know, you'll be repairing, and it'll be a variety of stuff. Well, I did it for about 6 or 8 weeks, and it was boring. I was just pressing buttons, and I was just 12-hour shifts, and it was just boring me to death.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life. Even money, we all go to work for money, but there's more to it than that. You've got to be happy in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I rang Redfern's, my mate at Redfern's, and I said, I don't like it here, Kev. Kev Wiles, they called him, he were a fitter. He said, they'd have they back here tomorrow. I says, it's not good ringing to go back. Anyway, I get a phone call from an engineer. Kev must have mentioned it. An engineer rings me, he says, we've got a rebuild coming up. If you want to come back here, I can set you back on self-employed. So I says, no problem when? He says, in another couple of weeks. So that's another step up I had. You need a bit of luck and and I packed in at Nacanco, and I went self-employed on a rebuild at Redfern's. There were nothing guaranteed. He says, I can only give you 6 weeks, 8 weeks work. That 8 weeks turned into 7 years, and I ended up with about 10 men there.
Yeah.
There were a lot of work to do, and I mentioned to this engineer, we could do with some more bodies on this, and well, do you know anybody? And that, but that was because as I say, I were a yes man. But you just want it best for company, best for yourself, and it's hard to get on, innit?
Yeah.
There's no point being a bloody militant negative, is it?
No,
so,
you're right.
And it stood me in good stead. I mean, I ended up with quite a few men there, so much so that one of the lads that were with me very early doors there,
So where were you getting your lads from? Where they couldn't get them? Do you know what I mean?
Well, just local lads who I were just...
Oh, you knew?
Yeah, who I knew.
I mean, and stuff.
No, two of the lads. Initially, one of the lads, Neil Royston, they call him. He weren't really a fabricator welder, but I showed him things on job, and he would pick stuff up quick. And he ended up foreman there for me. I eased out.
Yeah.
Once they gained trust in my men that were there, I eased out, rented a small unit in town, and got other work because I always knew it won't last forever.
Yeah.
It lasted while 2003, and then a new MD, somebody new came in at Redfern's, and I got a phone call from somebody up there to said, so we've had a big meeting today, all contractors off site.
But will this every so often you had to sign a contract, or was it just like a rolling?
No, it was rolling.
Oh, right.
And every so often, I mean, there are half a dozen engineers at Redfern's.
Yeah.
A new one would ring me. Not a new one. One I weren't working for would ring me. Can we have a couple of your lads next week to strip that out and do this? Hourly rates weren't brilliant, but cheaper than I'm getting a price for an outside company. But I'd got it guaranteed, they were getting me men at cheap hourly rates, really looking back, but it were guaranteed work for all of us, for me lads, bit of bread and butter income for me, for company, to develop company. So I rented a unit in town in 1996. They just built them, that Mount Osborne place.
Yeah.
Little unit there. Set another couple of lads on to work with me. We built that side of it up, got more work and different customers. And then, as I say, in 2002, it was 2002 actually, so 6 years later, Redfern's pulled plug. We do bits for, we do one-off jobs for them now, pricing stuff, and but we don't do a lot for them anymore. But I always thank them and the situation, there with Ken Kitchen, and it's just how things work. But you've also got to give your best yourself, haven't you? You've got to make things happen.
As you were doing that and building, you'd got your lads that you could do sort of all your fabrication work and that.
Yeah.
And that's bit that
Yeah.
Who were the first people that you set on to do your admin stuff? Because you wouldn't know much about admin and stuff. You'd have been doing alt filing yourself a bit.
Yeah,
like
I did all that. Yeah, sat down and did my wife. So
Leslie did it.
Leslie, very intelligent lass, lady, woman, whatever you want me to say. Worked at Halifax Building Society, and worked well up there. Did well there. Very good with numbers. Very good with money. She can squirrel money away that, some people fritter it, Leslie squirrel,
Yeah.
Very, very good with money. And in early days, she used to do, I did a bit of it, Leslie did more of it, Leslie did wages. But as it grew, when we had people at Redfern's, me and Leslie did it. Leslie did wages and stuff probably more than I did, because if I had to do it, I had to do it on a night and stuff like that. As we grew, at Mount Osborne Business Centre, they had a facility where the receptionist there would do invoices and do your paperwork for you.
Oh, right.
But she logged it all, and you had to pay them at end of month. Good business support.
Yeah.
You got a bill from council. If she'd done 6 hours for me, you got a bill for 6 hours. So I used to literally handwrite all my invoices, and then give them all to Anne, and she'd type them all up properly and post them all off. And as you got bigger, there's more and more of that to do.
Yeah.
And I had a book where I wrote every job down every day that were complete, raise invoice. Just a simple system initially. Anyway, as we got bigger and I bought some land and built a building, and I needed somebody full time, I actually poached Anne.
Right.
She worked for council. And I said, would you want to come and work for me? And, I don't know, I'll have to think about it. And she still works for me now, 20-odd years later.
So did she set all your systems up for your admin then? Or did you bring people in?
No, me and Anne set it all up.
Right.
We actually, obviously a lot of jobs go through, and now there's loads of processes. Yeah. I'm not going to say died, but if my intention was always to build a business and not a job for myself.
Yeah.
A business is something that could operate when you're not there.
Yeah.
It's not, and for that to happen, there's got to be systems in place, and somebody could read a file on my business and run it.
Yeah.
Every process is documented.
So if somebody
Job
comes to
cards,
buy Premier Engineering, you give them that book. That's it. You bought that.
It's in a few files, but that is also there to comply with. ISO, that you're supposed to have all that, and this CE marking of structural steelwork, processes and systems in place.
But what I'm trying to say is,
we've developed that really
that's what I'm saying.
ourselves,
and that is hard work putting them in place, isn't it?
It's
not like you just don't happen overnight. You just get it out of the book.
No. We've developed stuff like that ourselves, and I've sort of looked how other people do it, but every company's supposed to have its own. You can't just copy somebody else's.
Yeah.
But now we've got a quality department. We've got a lady in there who's constantly keeping all that updated. So but anyway, we haven't got that far yet, have we? So Redfern's pulled plug. In 1999, I bought the plot of land at Starefoot Grange Lane Industrial Estate. I was driving past regularly, and it were 1.5 acres in corner, and it were £42,000, that plot of land, which is like brilliant, isn't it? At that time. However, it were leasehold, and it weren't selling. So I were renting off Barnsley Council up at Mount Osborne, and I got a good relationship with. He were a retired bank manager who was manager of the site, and I'd said to him, Colin, they called him, and I says, Colin, that land at Grange Lane, do you know what about it? He says, oh yeah, it's for sale. I said, well, I might be interested in that. He said, well, I said, but it's leasehold, isn't it? He says, yeah, everybody. Thing is, he says, everybody's coming and offering us like $5,000 for it and $10,000 because it's leasehold. I said, well, I'd only want it freehold. He said, well, just write me a letter. Write us a letter saying you want it freehold and what you'll offer for it. He says, but, you need to be offering asking price. So I just wrote a letter saying, I'm interested in land. 42,000. I pay £42,000, but I want it freehold. Within a week, letter come back, I got it. So Colin, another bloke that, but I always pay my rent on time.
Yeah.
He knew I were, I don't know, a good sort, if you like. You've got to make your own luck, haven't you?
Yeah.
I never failed on my rent. He used to come in and, collect rent check off me. They were never, I ain't got it this week, or everything were there like that. So he helped me, another person that you need that bit of luck sometimes. So I bought that land in 1999, and I got that. I didn't borrow any money for it. I got the money for it.
Yeah.
But then I had to build back up again and say, and I sat on it for a bit and built on it in 2001, and built one building on it in 2001. It's a nice building, and early 2002, plug were pulled at Redfern's. But I got that nice facility now. We got other work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to make some of my men redundant at Redfern. I paid them and everything because there were more maintenance people than people who could make something that you needed to sell.
Yeah.
So some of my men came back to factory. I'd already got about 10 men in factory as well, and some of my Redfern's men. But we got loads of work. I was finding my job. I've never had a salesman. Most of it's just grown because of my level of commitment. Never let anybody down. Got things done on time. If it meant working all night, even in my own place, we'd do it, and I'd do it.
Were you getting work from construction industry or railways?
Construction mainly.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was a project manager for a company called Barlow Interiors in Sheffield. They were doing lots of fitness firsts all over the country.
Right.
And for 2 years, we got 8 men tied up doing that, moving from one to another. Secondary steelwork inside. They tended to take over old buildings, put, structures inside and staircases and balustrading. Yeah. So stuff like that. Work in London as well on construction side. A company called Galglass in Wombwell. They're not there anymore. They made tanks. They came to me for ancillaries and stuff fabricating, and then they made concrete tanks, but they had some shutter forms that made these concrete tanks, and their MD called me up and he says, do you think you could make these? They were made in Germany. I said, they're quite complex, and I said, but give me one, I'll have a go at it. We'll have a go at one. Anyway, we made one, and they ordered 500 of them.
Right.
These shutter panels, we call them. Somebody who dealt with Galglass in Belgium got wind of this, and they wanted me to make some. Honestly, we've made thousands of them since. We've developed jigs for them. We can knock them out fairly quickly. So that's another arm of it. We've got a laser cutting machine now. I'm jumping ahead,
you're
jumping on.
Showed me all
jumping ahead. So 2002, we're in my new building. Got my men at Redfern's. Got work going off at new building, and I project managed building that building while I were running, from Mount Osborne. I were up and down and making sure that were okay. By which we got 3 units at Mount Osborne, and then knocked them all into one, filling yard full of steel. It was a car park, but we got steel all over it. They were dead good up there, I'll be honest. But I knew we'd outgrown it.
Yeah.
So built this down there. Used local lads for brickwork. Mark Ruston, don't they know him? Lad from Redbrook, he did all brickwork. Caldwell concrete flooring, did concrete floors. We made all steel. So we did that ourselves, and moved into there in 2002. And then just as we moved in, Redfern's pulled plug, as I'm going back over that now, we had them men back. And then from 2002 to 2007, like booming, And then I got some more money then, saved, excavated. My plot were like, half of it were unusable. It were a big banking.
Yeah.
Dug out, got Andy Crichton
I can remember. Yeah.
to dig all that out. 700 lorry loads went, 14,000 ton of muck, and created another plot on my site. Built another bigger building there. We made all steel. We did it all ourselves while we were operating. Brilliant, really, that we could do that. No disruption to business. And all that were completed. I started at end of 2007 and early 2009 we moved into, but during that time, 2008, everything went bloody
crash, won't they?
Everything went quiet.
Yeah.
And initially I'm walking around this new building, echoing, looking around. It was just a storeroom, And I spent any money I'd got and borrowed money.
Yeah.
Not a lot, borrowed money for it. However, gradually it picked back up, and it was soon full of men. That's the difficult thing, is getting bodies to actually make your thing. Getting fabricator welders now is really, really hard. I could grow that company as big as I wanted if I could get good fabricator welders.
Is
they're
that because
dying breed.
they're not being trained properly?
No, they're not being trained.
And
Young lads,
they're
not wanting to come into it.
Yeah.
They're not wanting to do it. They're not wanting to get their hands mucky, half of them. Even obviously your super bright lads are wanting to go into office jobs and computers and whatever they're doing. Even your more hands-on lads, they don't want to do it. I don't know what. They'd rather go work at ASOS or...
Is that shortage pushing prices up?
Yes.
Is their wages having to go up?
This is it. Yeah, this is it. And then the lads I've got, obviously I look after them and try and pay them well, but then you can only pay them so much if they start losing work, At the minute we're pricing jobs, and our electricity bill down there at the minute, it's gone up from, we were paying about £5,000 a month electric. It's now 15.
So it's
£15,000 a month electric that you've got to find. Sorry, we were talking about prices. So my prices are having to go up. And we're losing out on, for some reason, we're not winning jobs we used to win. And I'm thinking, we've got a price that's quite a bit cheaper. I'm thinking, well, they must be on fixed deals on their electric. It's not just electric. I want to pay my lads good. I want them to be best paid in bar. Fabricator welders deserve good money.
Yeah.
It's about grinding. A mistake in steel is a lot harder than a mistake in wood.
Yeah.
You're cutting with a grinder, there's sparks, there's fumes, there's heat. They should be on £25 an hour.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the country hasn't realised that yet. They will do when there aren't any of them.
Well, that's it. And
so,
the prices, them that's doing it, they'll be commanding bigger wages.
Up until a few months ago, I would have said that were happening with us. We were getting every job we put in for. I think there's a bit of a funny time at the minute, with what's gone off with everything.
People's kind of they've stopped spending.
Yeah.
Because
on bigger projects,
media's frightened everybody into saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and people's watching news, and that's our last crash happened. So.
Yeah. So we employ about 50 people now. We've got draftsmen. 3 draftsmen. We've got a Japanese draftsman, absolutely brilliant guy. Came into this country 12 years ago into London. He lived, is it Fukuyama? Where the tsunami hit. Is it Fukuyama? It's a bit word like that, yeah. Where the nuclear power station and stuff on coast. He lived there, and after tsunami, he moved to London. His family's still there. Fortunately, they didn't get killed. His mum and dad's still there. Moved to London and met a girl from Chesterfield in London. And he said, he told me, I didn't speak English or anything when I came.
He's learnt it all
come here as a very, very good draftsman, CAD, design. He's got like a degree in mechanical engineering. He can design things, you can give him an idea and he'll develop it rather than just draw it. CAD operators just draw things. Jun, they call him, Jun Takakuda. He's very good. I'm lucky to have him.
Yeah.
His wife wanted to, been down in London 8 years, she wanted to move back up near her family. and an agency recommended me to him. I've got an agency looking for people. I said I'm not particularly looking for anybody, but if you get any fresh meat that's been unfortunate enough to be made redundant, or
that's Indeed, isn't it?
You what?
Is it Indeed?
No, it's the last I use in Leeds.
When I did a search,
yeah.
Your thing come up on Indeed.
Oh, did it?
Saying,
Yeah.
If anybody wants any job, you know,
Right, well,
I wonder if she's using them.
I'm always getting them to as I say, fresh meat. I got a lad from Ireland 2 years ago, before anybody else got him. He came over here with his wife, who was a vet in Sheffield, and he's a fabricator welder. Not one of these names that's circulating all the time.
Yeah.
He's brilliant and he's great. And initially, I didn't know how long they're going to be here, but he says they love it here.
Yeah.
He's from a little village in Northern Ireland where it went off. They live just this side of Meadowhall. He loves it.
It's come at a good time as well.
Yeah, he's about 35-year-old, and he's happy. So anyway, so that's how I dropped on John, and he said to me, he says, I first went in this office, and as well as doing job, I had to try and understand what people were saying. But his English is great now, and he's fitted in, and he's lovely. So we've got 3 draftsmen, a contracts manager, a couple of girls in admin. As I say, we employ about 50 people.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I'm lucky enough you showed me around your factory, and it's brilliant. And like I said, you just got that laser machine, and that's your little baby, isn't it?
Well, to be honest, it's old technology now.
Really?
Yeah, I've had 2 lasers, and we need to invest. We are going to invest in another one. I bought a second-hand one to start with, like you buy a second-hand car. False economy, it were always breaking down, costing £2,000 a month in repairs. So then I invested in a new one 5-6 years ago. But that now is old technology. It creates the laser using a lot of electricity.
Right.
And new technologies, the laser is made with fibre optic. Uses half the amount electric. Machines are double price, but you save on, and particularly now with price of electric. So we need to invest in a fibre optic machine, which we will be doing.
Are you getting some solar panels? Have you got them?
I'm on with people looking at that for me.
Yeah.
A lad in Barnsley as well. I like to shop local. My eldest son...
It's a pity that Barnsley don't like to shop local with you.
Well,
why didn't you not get that bridge?
We could have done that. We're doing stuff for HS2 as big as that in our works. And
fingers crossed you're doing it for HS2.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah.
They're making a decision, aren't they, on it?
Well, we just keep making bridges and stuff like that for them and certain customers. But we could have done that bridge. I'm pretty sure we could have done that bridge. And I'm driving past it every day, and don't seems to be happening.
I know.
You know. But anyway, I forgot where I want to. I keep losing thread. Where were we?
We're on about Barnsley. You were on about your designer.
Shopping local.
That he's just moved. You
Yeah.
got a new guy that's just moved over here.
Yeah.
He's loving Barnsley.
Yeah. So, and we've got 2 apprentices that were recently very, very... When I said to you earlier, you've got to have a level of intelligence. Now, these 2 lads, they both went to Silcoats, which is unusual that lads want to be fabricator welders. One of them's dad's a farmer, I think, and the other one's mum and dad own a company called Stockton Drilling, and they do drilling into North Sea for pipes and cables to go in, civils work. And I've done work for Stockton Drilling. I know the mum and dad very well. And Dad rang me and said, my son Eamon, he's interested in welding and fabricating. He's a good grafter. I mean, Garrod, they call his dad. He's an Irishman, and generally Irish tend to be good grafters. And he says, Raymond is a good grafter, and you're not disappointed. And he's done A-levels as well, and he's come into it. I hope that he stays with us, because he could be future of our company.
Yeah.
So that's a brilliant apprentice we've got. And his friend, who's 16, he's done well at his O-levels. His dad's a farmer. And he's very hands-on. He's 16, he's got hands like shovels, and he's come into it. So, if we can develop them and how can I say, make them want to stick with us and grow up company with us, you know.
Is your apprentices at Barnsley College?
No, they go to Wakefield College.
I was going to say we've had issues with Barnsley College. It was
Yeah.
a nightmare. At
Yeah,
minute.
we've had that with Barnsley, but we've had it in past. These two go to Wakefield. They run a better steel fabrication course.
Yeah, well, I mean, CITB has said to me, you can send them to Leeds, to Thomas Dolby or whatever college, and I've just gone. We've got a college on his doorstep. You know, I shouldn't be having to send them there, but I don't know. They're in turmoil at the minute. They can't get lecturers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they're having their issues.
Yeah. But company, as I say, I've managed to grow my company by not being an hard as nails. You know, when people think, "Oh, businessman, you've got to be hard as nails." I don't think so. You've got to have a level of, you know, I'm certainly not a walkover or a pushover, and I know what to charge, and you know, but you haven't got to be a twat or whatever. You know, I've got by just being where I am.
So what do you see? What do you see for future of your company then? Because obviously you're not going to be able to go on forever.
No.
I mean, we're not getting any younger.
No.
56 at minute.
Yeah.
So I mean, I ain't touched on. You've got some property as well, ain't you?
Yeah.
You've got a property portfolio.
Yeah. We've got some property. Yeah.
So you've got, you know, multiple streams of income coming in as well as your company and that.
Yeah. Well, I said this to somebody the other day. I said, when are you going to retire? Well, at the moment, I would say my job's easier than it's ever been, so why retire now?
Yeah.
You know, I've gone through all, you know, it's still stressful at times. And
you've got to have something to do. You can't just stop, can you?
I mean, I could probably, my aim is probably just to go in a couple of days a week, maybe on a Friday. My eldest son's working there, he looks after it laser. I've got a very good sort of general workshop manager there. Good foreman, couple of foremen, good site manager. My aim probably would be maybe to go in on a Friday, sit them all down, you know, I mean, Anne's not getting any younger, she's older than me, but sit down and, right, what we got in bank, what jobs we got on this week, you know, everybody happy, right, see you next Thursday, you know, that, not retire, just do something like that, you know, and, but I'm still looking to make the place bigger. We've outgrown where we are. You know, I'm looking for land, or I think that'll be my final thing. Leave, you know, maybe in a bigger place, if I can find the place.
I'm surprised you haven't found any way around here, because there's surely got some grants and things like that for. I mean, what about up at Ireland?
Yeah, there are
all them massive units.
Yeah, there are things up there, but I know it's
Are they wanting too much for it?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, what's happening is, I don't know, pension fund, I don't know how it works, buying the plot, you know, buying the land, and then they want ridiculous amounts.
Lloyd's is buying everything out there.
Yeah. I want to drop on something like I did. I know it'd be difficult to do, but I know it'd not be that, but I've got one or two little irons in fire for that anyway. So I've no intention of retiring anytime soon. But I'm not going to be one of these who's going to work when I'm 80. You know, and if I am going to work, it'll not be to be sticking my nose in and, you know, like I say, a couple of days a week. How are we doing? What's in bank? Yeah, see you later. You know, and that'll be it.
Right. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, then Brent, because I'm going to wrap it up now, because I think we've been nearly 2 hours.
Have we?
It's 1 hour 45.
Yeah, there's loads more I want to tell you.
What we might do is we might do a part 2. Because
social life, stuff like that.
All right, social life. Well, you love Barnsley, don't you? I mean, massive Barnsley fan. So
Barnsley fan.
You had a box at Barnsley.
I sponsor Iam Cricket Club. I love Iam Cricket Club. Iam Cricket Club are going places. Built the big. We've done work up. I mean, I live outside at cricket field, so we've done.
Is that where your house is up there?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Go down outside at cricket field.
Dickies.
Yeah, opposite.
Are you opposite
I'm
them?
opposite them. Yeah.
Right, I didn't know that.
Back, not towards motorway, in towards Iam.
Almo's started laking for him. He lives just across road.
It's going places. They've just got promotion. Our main sponsor, you know, our badges are all over the place, which is...
I've been in it. It's lovely for a drink.
Good association.
Sport on telly and everything.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. And 5 years ago, it were a wooden shed.
Yeah.
You know, it's Dan Bamforth's I am cricketing band, through and through. Dan is about maybe 30 now, early 30s. When he was 15, he was coaching young uns. He's absolute top guy. He's been the one with all computer knowledge and getting grants and pushing it.
Have you not been on their podcast?
No.
They've got a podcast.
Have they? Oh.
Did you not know?
I have seen it.
When you go to the toilet.
It's been on for a while, though. I don't think they've done it for a while. I'll mention it to
Almo was saying, he says, I'll get you on.
Oh, right. Go on then, anyway, you were saying.
No, I'm just saying, big with Barnsley football club, you used to have your box there.
Yeah.
Why ain't you got a box there anymore?
It became a bit of a job.
All right.
I mean, and now, like every Friday, we've had a box on and off for we had one for about 3 years, then had a break, and then had it for another couple of years. But every Friday I was like, who wants to go? Ringing around people. Maybe a week before, you'd start on Monday, and then there'd be someone that, I can't make it, I'm not cool. And very often there were just me and my wife and kids sat in it, and I thought to myself, I think I prefer just to go to Mount at 1 o'clock, have 3 or 4 pints with my mate, with lads, and just go to the game. So that's what I tend to do now.
Can you not speak to somebody there and say, this box that we've got?
Yeah.
Can we not take these fucking windows out and make it so we can up and win? It's awful. It's like listening to a match in a tinny radio.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's awful that.
I can certainly have a word because we do all metalwork requirements up there.
Yeah.
They're aluminium, I think then, but I know people up there, and I can maybe ask why they hadn't done it.
I can't believe why
it does spoil
why
it.
They don't. It's
I used to go when
awful.
we had box. I used to turn full blast to try and get a bit of something. You know what I mean?
But it's there's just no atmosphere if you can't open windows. And obviously you go to any other stadiums and that. I mean, you go to Cardiff or whatever, and just the open windows. And you're in with crowd. Then, and it's a lot better.
Maybe just a sliding with something. Do that, but. Just one quick story about it. When kids were at junior school in Bark Green, Mr. Gilmore, massive Sheffield United fan, and we had box at that time. And my wife says to him, "Why don't you come in our box when we play Sheffield United?" I've never had opposition fans in box. And he was kids headmaster. I've told you I'm not a violent person and all that, but I do get a bit wound up at football. And Sheffield United bet us 1-0. Billy Sharp scored, and at the end of the game, I just couldn't stand it. I had to go out. I says to Leslie, I know he's headmaster and all that, but I had to bite my tongue because they were cheering and jumping up and down and all this lot. And I said, never, ever again. And that, love Barnsley that much, so I would never have opposition fans in. But
have you ever been to watch Liverpool much?
Yes.
I imagine people
yes.
over that way, so
yes.
they'll take you for a...
I went to... I've been a couple of times, and the last time I went, my sister bought it for my 50th. Gaynor, my sister. And it was in nice exec. It's a fantastic setup there. But they're all good, aren't they? I think Newcastle's one of the best grounds I've been to.
Only thing I've got, can you remember when Barnsley, we played them in FA Cup and we bet them?
Yeah, we're at that game.
Well, I were in that away end.
Yeah, our.
I didn't like away end. It just was too.
Well, they've extended it. Now they're extending it all that.
Right.
Massive.
Yeah.
Double size of it.
It was a bit
like
looking at it through
a bit like Bramall
box.
Lane. Have you been away end at Bramall Lane?
Awful.
A bit like that. But you sat down. But yeah. So anyway.
And did you enjoy it then?
Oh yeah. It were a Legends game. They played Real Madrid legends and Liverpool legends. The ground were full.
Yeah.
It weren't a proper game even. The ground were packed, and Steven Gerrard played. I forgot there were some big names for Madrid playing. I can't remember now, but it was a brilliant day out. That one, my 50th. Seems like yesterday.
You were going to tell us about your koi carp.
Oh yes.
Because what reminded me then is because when you were a kid, you had some pets, didn't you?
Yeah.
Donkeys, I think they were, that you kept in your house. 2 Great Danes.
Yeah, Great Danes. Yeah. That
massive.
when we had shop. That when we had shop.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a story. I were never scared of dogs till we got this first Great Dane. My dad bought it. They like look of Great Danes. And he went to a backstreet breeder and bought a Great Dane. And it were a bag of bones, really, from being a pup. It weren't properly bred. And it were nasty. Weren't nasty with my dad, but I were probably 14-year-old when we left shop, maybe 13, 14. And if I went near it, if it were a ball, it used to like, and I was scared. And when you get a feeling, and my dad says, it'll sense that, just grab it. And I was scared of it. Anyway, my mum and dad went down to Antonio's this particular Sunday night. It was a Sunday night. And they left me in house on own with this Great Dane. And we had a shop. We were in shop, as I say, and there were them beads hanging down on doors. And Great Dane got up, walked through beads. I think they called it Max. Max, what are you doing? Just carried on walking into the shop. And my mum had a big ham in the fridge that she used to cut up for sandwiches. You know, imagine it, on meat slicer. And she always left door slightly ajar on the fridge. I don't know why. Great Dane, I watched it. I went behind it. It pawed door open, put head in, and got the big thing out. And he was turning around, and I thought, and I went to grab meat, and it bit me. I've got a triangular scar on me with canine tooth went straight through my finger.
Yeah.
And I just went back in the room, and I don't know whether it ate a lot or what it did, but I rung Antonio's, and my mum and dad come home, and my dad were booting dog off the place. And I went to school next day, and I come home and dog had gone.
All right.
And I says, "Where's Max?" My dad says, my mum says, "He's gone. Your dad's had him put down."
All right.
But after that, they're still like it. They went to a proper breeder, paid proper money, and bought a proper bloody like big thing, you know, proper muscle on it and all that. And since then, my sister's gone on to have them, and
she's got with 3, didn't she?
She's got one. Yeah, they don't live long though. You know, she's. If you get 8 years out of one, you've done well. She's only got one now, but she's got 7 Bracco Italianos. My sister's carried on. She loves dogs. She's gone into the dog thing. I ain't really gone into that, but fish onto koi. When I got my first house in '89, I was straight into. You wouldn't think of it now, but I were into gardening and making garden look nice, making a patio and step digging it out and all stuff like that. Anyway, I thought I want a pond in garden. So, and at the time, a kid called Nigel Ruddy had opened up a koi place at Bart Green on roundabout where Aldi is now. And I went down there and I saw these koi and I thought, oh, they're nice. I'd only built a little feature and I put some koi in it, and it weren't really right for them. But I got into koi and joined the koi society. Another thing I was doing on a night. I don't know how I fitted my life in, really. And I ended up building a bigger pond, and then this was only a little house at Redbrook. Eventually, I thought all my back garden were a pond. And 10,000 gallon pond in back garden, and I got these koi swimming around. I built it all with stuff they were throwing away at Redfern's when I was contracting.
Yeah.
They were knocking walls down. I said, "Can I have them blocks? Can I have them breeze blocks?" And I'm taking breeze blocks home in van and stuff and making me pond. And anyway, we moved from that house, part at deal where I filled pond in. The one that bought it, so I had to fill all that in. Moved to where we are now, and my wife says, "Well, kids are only young, I don't want another pond while they're old enough to." Anyway, 12 years ago I built this pond now where we are, and last year I measured one of my koi last year. Well, there's a photograph of me with it, 52 pound, 1 metre long, my biggest.
How long do they live for, koi?
Oh, as long as you're like us,
time.
unless they get 80.
Are they?
If they don't get, but koi can get cancer, tumours, bacterial infections. You've got to give them when you get big koi, you've got to not only if they get out wrong, you've got to know what to do. You know, you don't just leave them to their own devices because they're in an unnatural environment. Things escalate quickly, parasites and stuff like that. So, it's
a full-time job. Then.
Well, it's it's another thing to do, but I love it. If people come to our house for a barbecue, invariably men just go and sit outside at the pond and feed it fish, and it's a subject in it to, and get pissed.
It is, yeah.
So, So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to pack it up here because
yeah.
if anybody wants to get in touch with you, Brent,
Yeah.
how do they get in touch with you? What's your email address?
It's my email address is brent@premierengineeringltd.com.
Brilliant.
And have a look at our website, www.premierengineeringltd.com. See some fantastic stuff my people do.
Yeah, and that's for all to do with steelwork and
Steel fabrication work. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
And I'm sure that we'll probably end up doing a second part because
Well,
there's lots of things to talk about. And
Oh yeah.
how you pinched Pharaoh off me at junior school.
Oh yeah. Joseph and the tech. Yeah.
About that.
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
So that's the damn show finished. See you later. Bye bye, Brent.
Cheers, mate.
You enjoy that, mate?
Yeah, well, brilliant.
Is it therapeutic?